days. What's that been like within the team, and trying to get everyone's spirits back up to an extent?
Yeah, obviously it's pretty devastating. All the boys are pretty gutted after that result. We put in such a big effort. We're leading for 79 minutes of the game, and obviously it's a tough pill to swallow. I think everyone knows that, but obviously there's a big focus on this weekend now and winning this game this Saturday.
There's a lot of talk about Carlo and diving and whatnot, but how's he going? I guess personally, the last couple of days has been
obviously Carlo's he's a very tough player. He puts himself in tough positions for us all the time, and Joe's already come out and spoke about all that. So, as for Carlo, he's a bloody tough player, and he really puts himself in tough positions for us constantly throughout the game and week in, week out.
Nick, that's a really good point. You're a guy who's at the breakdown. You were closest to it. Can you just take us through those last moments? I know you were one of the guys who was beside it at that moment.
Carlo is there as a competitor, like he always is. He's trying to get on ball. There's 7. Puts his hands there, he's there first, and he gets hit pretty hard with a full force clean out. So it is what it is. We can't do anything about a decision. As we touched on, Joe's spoken about all that stuff. But for us, we're trying to compete for the ball there. We're especially Carlo, but a lot of the forwards put ourselves in harm's way a lot of the time. So it is tough on the body.
We can see by your face, like this is what this sport is. Does it disappoint you that the likes of James Haskell are saying that he should have, potentially Tizano should have had a red card for milking it? Your guys what force is going through your neck.
Yeah, exactly. So it's tough. It's hard when you got guys who aren't on the field. I know they're ex-players and different things, but when the people who are on the field day in, day out and put in their body, especially like a guy like Carlo who always gets over the ball, like guys like that competing, it is tough. And then even in the type 5, you put your body in harm's way. So it's a tough one for him. And we don't really listen too much outside noise, whatever the media says around that stuff. So it's the first time we've heard of it, or I've heard of it. It's just disappointing in general that this series is done for us.
Is it easy to get up for the game?
Yeah, for sure. Oh, definitely. There's a massive game. Any game you play, especially for your country, but any test match is big to get up for. So we're really looking forward to the weekend. There's a bit of fire in the belly from the last couple of games. And playing in Sydney, for a lot of the boys, their hometown, you're playing for your nation, playing for your family first and foremost too. So, and again, like a Lions series, it's our last time, unless you're James Slivert, to play against them. So it's a really cool experience for a lot of boys who ever get a pull on that jersey. So everyone's really keen.
The media's obviously going to keep talking about the incident, but within camp, have you guys, has there been a message that we're just not going to talk about it? That's history, or do you use that as inspiration going forward into this one?
No, I wouldn't say either way, to be honest. There's Jorgo said we were leading for 79 minutes, but end of the day, there's so many moments up until that where we could have capitalised on a bit more on that, and so they're those touch points that we've got to go back and review on with, how can we be better in different facets of the game. We had a pretty decent lead in that first half, and we gave away a few tries before half time, so there's key moments. It doesn't always come down to the refs whistle right at the end. So there's a whole span of things that are in our favour that we can control. So end of the day, you can't really rely right at the end for a decision there. If you're relying on that, you probably haven't done enough work throughout the game.
Over the years, loads of rugby teams have used a kind of sense of injustice as a driver. Was there any of that?
No, as I said before, we haven't directly spoken about that. We haven't directly not spoken about it. We've just touched on all those things. We had our units meetings this morning. The backs would have spoken about a whole bunch of things, but as forwards, the set piece battle, what we can do there, what we can do around in the tight work. As I kind of touched on, there's so many things that we did well, but there's so many things that we could do a lot better on, and especially improve. And I think that's something as a team that we need to minimise those gaps from having good parts of the game, but then poorer parts. We need to make those margins smaller, so then we stack moments up, and then throughout the game we put on a good performance consistently through 80 minutes.
There was a massive physical shift clearly from the first test to the second, especially in the first half. Is it as simple as saying, we've got Rob Ballatini come back, or was there a mental shift as well? And is that the key going forward about what went right in that first half that you keep doing it going forward?
I wouldn't discredit those two either way. They're world-class players, Will and Bobby. There's definitely a bit of both. They had outstanding games for us when they're on the field. They definitely had some big pivotal moments. But again, there's a whole mindset from the whole team. I think on reflection of that first half in Suncorp, we didn't put our best foot forward, 20 odd points down in that first half of Suncorp, so we didn't come out the way we wanted to. So there was a definite focus on that for this week. And when you add two world class players like that into your pack, it's always going to help. So it's no right or wrong, but it definitely helps in general. And I think for any test match, any game, everyone always speaks about winning the physical battle. And if you don't win that, it goes a long way to not winning the game. So those two players really helped us this week.
Nick, it's 1904 was the last time the Lions had a whitewash series against Australia. They've been pretty vocal about it. Ben Russell, Mr. Pollock as well. Is that a driver for this team to leave on a high?
Yeah, for sure. That's a good stat, 1904. But yeah, we haven't directly again spoken about that exactly, but we're definitely keen to rip in. It's a massive match. We touched on a few things, with going out there, playing in front of your friends, for your family and for your nation, and on top of that, playing against the Lions. It's a massive game. We know there's so many things that we've got to improve on, but there's some really good parts of that game. We know we're really looking forward to it.
Nick, the test and the way that it finished as well has been the topic of Australian sport the last couple of days. That's certainly motivated a lot of casual rugby fans as well. I guess in your own personal experiences, have you guys felt that extra support from Australia and the extra eyeballs on the series too? Yeah,
definitely. Well, first and foremost, there's all you guys here, but no, it's great. I think we got that little bit of support, or the extra bit of support last year in that spring tour with the result, thanks to this guy sitting next to me here. But it's good. We feel that support, and especially with such an epic series as the Lions coming out. It's just a good brand of rugby that the Northern Hemisphere teams bring. That we don't really have this Southern Hemisphere, the singing songs in the grounds, all that, just that atmosphere. And we saw at the stadium, especially the MCG and also at Suncorp, how big that atmosphere is. And there's lots of red shirts out, but on top of that, there's lots of gold. So it's really encouraging as players, and we really felt that support. And the everyday punter down the road, there's a bit more chat in the media and a bit more positivity about Australian rugby, which is good for us, and then good for the general public.
Yeah, that first 35 minutes, is that as good as you felt the team has played under Schmidt?
Yeah, I guess so. It kind of went by. It's kind of weird to say, but you're on the field, things go by pretty quickly. But we're definitely in a bit of a groove there. We were playing some good rugby. We were managing things well. So yeah, probably it was a very good start for us. It was one of our better starts in our test matches under Joe.
Does it feel like the Wallabies are back? Is there that sense that first half, maybe 60 minutes, that you guys are back now?
I don't want to get quoted saying definitely the Wallabies are back for that with a grab there, but as I touched on before, for that spring tour that we had, and even the building signs we showed through last year, I think we're starting to play a better brand of rugby and a more attacking brand of rugby that suits some of our skilled players like Max sitting here, and some of the quality we have in our back line, and on top of that, it's just the more games we can put together for longer periods of time, we're going to start to see some improvements on the scoreboard. Some more wins, but it definitely it is a process. We've got the Lions series, which unfortunately is lost now. We've still got the match ahead. We've got the Rugby Championship. We've got all these things looking ahead, and then even down the track is that that Home World Cup. So talking about the support from the Australian public before, I think it's great to see everyone out and about. And some more positivity about the team playing well, us as belief of what we can do, and just the general public, especially for that 2027 World Cup.
So, Jorgo, obviously Harry's out.
Yeah.
Obviously, Jorgo, Harry's out. He's been left behind in Melbourne with the hammy injury. First of all, talk to me about how much he's, the impact he has in that back line, and kind of what things are going to look like with him out.
Yeah, obviously it's devastating for Potts, you know, to go down with a hammy injury like that. It's yeah, like I've been there before and really feel for him. And he's a very experienced player and a very good player. So it's really tough to see him head out of camp and stay down in Melbourne. You know, I don't think anyone likes seeing injuries. It's a pretty tough thing to watch, and just wish him all the best for his rehab.
Yeah, and second one, just obviously, how do you kind of approach a game like this? Because you've got a really good coaching staff who've kind of been there, been a good support. Is it a case of what Hoops kind of said after post-match, you kind of take the moment, you grieve the loss, or do you kind of bottle it and go, okay, let's use this for the next game?
Yeah, I think Fruit said it pretty well earlier. You know, it's you're playing a test match for your country, and especially against the Lions. I don't think it's a challenge to get up for. I think it's a very easy thing to get up for, and obviously, Fruity said it before that the series is gone, but you know we're not going to let them head home with a clean sweep. So we got a massive job on our shoulders for this weekend.
Just I guess on that approach, do you sort of lean into maybe nothing to lose approach? Is that sort of freeing for the group?
I wouldn't. Yeah, not really nothing to lose. We still there is something to lose, the test match. So you know, we just not go out there and take all the risks possible. But there's definitely a sense of confidence in what we have done and in general what we want to do. You know, you do want to go out there and be full of belief and confidence. And I think at some parts in that game, you know, we showed what we can do when we have that belief and confidence with the attacking ball.
Nick, after the game, Joe Smith, obviously he's a level-headed guy, but you know, obviously really disappointed. If you can take us through, like, what was he saying to you guys afterwards, just in a difficult time?
I didn't say anything what he said post-match or anything, but I know definitely on the field, the first thing he said to us is he's proud of us on the field. You know, that was probably the first words, and that's the thing that stuck with me, was just how proud he was of us, and you know, just that belief. And then the next job was about next week. And that's all that was really spoken about.
Joe came in obviously low for this country. How much of a motivator as well is that for you as a playing group? You've all been with him, you've developed under him, to really put in a performance to remember for him in this final game.
Yeah, I think it all encapsulates. That's another thing to add to the pot, on top of the Lions series, on top of the playing for Joe, playing for your nation. There's all those things that add in, and you know, as Max said just before, like it's a very easy game to get up for. Any test matches, but especially this. So, you know, we got Joe for this match. We've still got him for the Rugby Championship, and we've still got a lot of games. But we don't really look too far forward from that. It's next week focused, and go from there.
Jordan, we haven't actually asked, like, how is the mood in the camp? Obviously, there was going to be devastation after the game, but like, how's generally, you know, you're back in Sydney, back home for a lot of you. How is the mood in the camp generally?
Yeah, obviously straight after the game, it was pretty low the mood. You know, it was all the boys are gutted, but you know, as the time goes on, that's footy, and you sort of got to put it behind you and really focus on this weekend. So you can't sort of sit here and complain about what happened on the weekend. You know, I think the boys have really changed the mindset to focusing on this weekend and getting that job done.
Frosty, just like with Skelton, how much more we see of him throughout the year remains to be seen, but like, he's 33, is that the best you've seen Will play, and how much easier is it for you as a second rower having him out there?
Yeah, but it was unbelievable. You know, a bit of impact Will brought on for the field. You know, he's probably been in and out. You know, with his over the past couple of years. You know, he hasn't had a massive run of test matches together, but you know, he was great for us on the weekend. He's a big physical guy, confrontational, as you all saw. But it's good fun. It's good scrummaging with him. Line-out wise, it's a little bit different at some points. Obviously, he doesn't really get off the ground too often, being at his height and weight. So you know, it's a good challenge. And Will's an unbelievable, you know, family man and character around the group. You know, he definitely brings a lot of people together. He's a very good guy just to have around. Brings the culture in quite well.
Do you feel like the team is more balanced with him on the field, with the power that he provides? Like, is that the template going forward, do you think, or is it too simple to say that?
Oh, I think it's quite hard to say. It's always up to the coaches, you know, what they want to decide what we want to play essentially with, and you know there is permutations for having someone like Will, who is such an anomaly and such a good player. But you know there's pros and cons of both things. So you know there's swings and roundabouts and all. You know, especially in my role. There's a line out and for jumping a bit, you know, you have to share a bit of that balance there.
And you must be pretty happy with the way you've gone personally, despite the result of the series.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty hard thing to look at it like that. You know, it's a team sport, and we're a collective. You know, so it's like I'm obviously devastated that we didn't get a series win or win on the weekend, that we could have had a decider this weekend. So. Yeah, as I said, we're a team, and we take losses together and we take wins together.
Is this loss lingered a bit longer than other ones, do you feel?
Yeah, like it really hurts, you know. It's a really tough pill to swallow. Obviously, it's, as Fruit said before, it's something that you only do really once in your career, unless your eye slips. But yeah, I was absolutely gutted personally. I know everyone in the team was, and to have to wait another 12 years to have the chance of getting a series win is, yeah, it's obviously devastating.
What was it like on the ground as the Lions were doing their laps with the band? Did you see much of them celebrating at the end?
Yeah, a little bit. You know, I think it's just the same word I've used all day. It's devastating to see that. It's you sort of look at it and you go, what could have been? You decide this weekend, you know, how different it could have been if, as Fruit was saying earlier, if we got some things in that game go right and we improve on our game, you know, it could have been so different. And to see them celebrate, you know, it really does hurt.
Nick, after the match at the G, the press conference, we could hear the Lions celebrating, and that was pretty tough, I think, for Harry and Joe. But for Harry specifically, what's he like now, and how's he galvanising the group as a leader? Obviously a pretty tough experience for him as a captain. Yeah.
Well, we didn't really hear any of that, to be honest, of their celebrating. Well, I didn't personally, but yeah, it would be tough, you know, position that Harry's in. But you know, I think as any good leader is, you know, you got to bounce back. You know, you got to come in. He leads a lot by his actions. Obviously his words too, but he leads a lot by his actions, which you see on the field too. You know, he gives it everything, every game. You know what you're going to get from him. So, you know, if he's been walking tall this morning, walking tall the past couple of days, I know he's maybe you know behind closed doors he's probably hurting like we all are. But you know, out in the team, if you're standing tall, you know everyone's going to go with that, and you know you all follow.
Max,
Last couple, please, boss.
well, both of you could have taken a different path in life, sporting wise. You invested in Australian rugby. There has been conjecture outside that Australia wasn't a worthy opponent. Is that a driver going into this final game? Say not a worthy opponent for the Lions. Is that something that can drive people?
Yeah, sure. It adds into all those things we've spoken about. It's another thing to add into the pot for things to get up for the game, I guess. You know, we don't see a whole lot of rugby media outside, you know, because there's always a lot of noise, but we focus on what we try to do. And, you know, especially media across from overseas, we don't really see a whole lot of that. So, you know, maybe it is disappointing they say that. I mean, you know, we're hoping to go out and put our best foot forward as a team and as a nation.
What's the relationship like with the Lions at the moment? We have a beer with them after the game on Saturday. What's the relationship like at the moment?
Yeah, I don't know what the tradition is, to be honest, first and foremost, but you know, there are some players I'd like to catch up with. You know, first of all, you go on toe-to-toe battle. I think that's the good part about rugby, that you can have a beer after a game, after a series, win or loss, and you know, you're not enemies. You know, you do your fighting on the field, then after it you can. So there's a couple of players you'd like to catch up with for sure over there.
Max,
Last one.
how old were you when you came back over, when your parents moved back over there?
I was about 3 or 4 when I moved back over to Australia.
Was your dad still in touch with any of the Northampton lads or lads?
Yeah. He's still close mates with a lot of the boys he played with. So it's good to see.
Was there any of them over here?
Hey?
Any of them over here for the tour?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of them. So I think that's caught up with a few of them. But yeah,